think it's an important one because like gaming is such a big part of our lives, you know, like it's always been there. You know, I remember coming to yours like after school and stuff and playing like Robot Wars. Like fuck
Oh,
me, I used to love that shit.
we should get that again. That should be remastered. It won't happen,
Yeah,
but it's
Robot Wars, man. That was I just remember, yeah, in your old house, like just playing Robot Wars for like hours. Just playing
yeah.
Robot Wars because I didn't have a PC, so I don't think it was available on console.
It might have been. We could look for it now or after.
Yeah.
Anyone in the
Um.
comments who's played, let us know.
Yeah. Speaking of anyone in the comments, yeah, let's kind of get started. So today, Victor and I are going to be talking about why we play video games, or why you know we're kind of going to do it in two parts. So I'm going to go ahead and do like why I play video games, and I've kind of broken it down in a kind of a I've written notes, but it's more of like a essay because it's
Yeah.
like 3 pages. So I'm going to try and get through it as concisely as I possibly can, and kind of explain like why I'm going through what I'm going through, and then I'm going to hand it over to Victor, and I don't know what he's prepared, but
I mean,
even if he's
I've
even
seen
if
what
he's
you prepared. I
prepared
don't know what else
nothing.
I can cover. Yeah.
No, even if you prepared nothing, like I think it'll give you something to you'll have things you want to kind of get out because I
Yeah.
think it's one of those things we never question things that are always a part of our lives. Like like I'm a big fan of pro wrestling. I never question why they wear a stupid big gold belt. You know, it doesn't hold your pants up. What's the function of it? At some point, it got introduced into the zeitgeist. So yeah,
Because
it's
it
good.
looks cool.
It looks cool, yeah. So it's good to like kind of question these things.
Mm.
But yeah, so I don't know where I came up with the idea. I was like, this would be a good kind of discussion to have. Is kind of why I play video games. So let me just pull up
It's gonna
what we
boil
have
down to
here.
you saying everything. I'm gonna be like, yep, I agree with that. No, never know that.
Well, see, this is the thing. There's
Either
like a
way.
plethora of reasons why we kind of play video games, whether we realize them or not. And I think some of the things I really like, I thought in my mind it was a good topic to do, right? So, okay, cool. I have an idea, like this would be a good topic to do. But then when I actually sat down to think about it, like it took a couple of moments to kind of get into kind of fleshing it out. But then I kind of got up and I started looking at the shelf of the games that I kind of already have.
Mm.
Um, what have I done here? Okay. So I just want to preface everything by saying the thoughts and opinions you kind of hear being let me start again. The thoughts and opinions expressed here are our own. We'll be providing you with our perceptions and perspectives on whether you relate, disagree, or discover something about yourself. Please feel free to leave us some of your thoughts in the comment section below. So I'm just going to get started by kind of reading through the notes I've made.
Cool.
Hopefully we won't be here for many weeks, because we have lives and stuff. Let me just quickly put the phone on silent, because these things tend to happen. Things start vibrating as soon as people know that you're streaming. They get some kind of a frequency, and they're like, let's give them a phone call. But yeah,
Yeah.
so why I
Once you're out in
play?
the world.
Yeah, of
Yes.
course. Why I play video games. So these are all kind of. I'm sure there's more reasons than this, but these are some of the whys that I came across just by looking at each individual game that I kind of had on the shelf.
Hmm.
So I'll kind of go through it that way. So yeah, these are some of the bullet points I have. So firstly, they provide a sense of challenge. Um,
Yes.
that's
Definitely.
partially like why I'm playing Super Meat Boy because it's kind of a challenging game. Taking a bit of a break from that now because we finished Final Fantasy X, and yeah, we've kind of had a bit of a change in the schedule. But yeah, challenge is one of the reasons why we play video games, or why I play video games. And what I'm going to do is, yeah, I'm going to go through this list, and then I'm going to go into the benefits and drawbacks. Actually, I should probably explain that first. So I'll go into the benefits and drawbacks of the whys. So firstly, I'll kind of list the whys, then I'll go into the benefits and drawbacks, and then I kind of have another couple of things I want to go through, like how I played video games in the past, how I play them now, kind of how I've learned from them, and then we'll kind of then I'll pass the torch to Victor, and he can.
That is another reason to play games. Like, you learn something, but you probably go on
Yeah,
with that
that's a
more later.
yeah. So there you go. So that you can save that for your part of the conversation. That's
Sure.
I don't even have that. That's such a good. I know it sounds like an obvious one, but I actually don't have it written down. So that's a
Mm.
good one. Um, They provide a sense of distraction or escapism.
Definitely.
They're an outlet for creativity. For example, for me, it would be like I remember back in the days when you had to kind of go on a website to do create a wrestler. You'd have to get a formula and kind of do the creation yourself. Or like more modern example would be something like Dreams. People are creating all kinds of things. So I think it's a good outlet for creativity.
And
Uh,
a lot of people buzzing about Animal Crossing right now. The one came out. It's trending, as they say, and you can
yep,
be very creative in that.
absolutely. It's a way to spend time with friends.
Didn't used to be. It used to be very antisocial and just for nerds, but slowly it became for the nerds to connect, and now it's very mainstream. In fact, it's one of the biggest ways to connect right now with the whole thing going on. So,
Yep,
big point.
absolutely. Um, I also have a bullet point here, which is trophies provide a sense of achievement. So I've got sense of achievement in bold. So that's the why, and then I'll kind of get into the drawbacks and benefits, as I go through that. What else? They provide emotional engagement. So I got that from looking at The Last of Us, which was on the shelf, and other games like Horizon Zero Dawn that provide emotional engagement. You know, they allow us to experience new realities and sensations.
And new ideas, definitely.
So let me just double check that we are actually live right now because I'm not sure. And if we're not, it's fine.
Yeah.
We can still keep going. We'll still keep rolling.
Keep
I think we
rolling,
are.
rolling, rolling, rolling.
Oh, there's a quick way to check. Yeah, we are.
Sweet. Continue.
Another reason is because they were free on PS Plus, so there was a sale on Steam for a great
Oh
discount.
yeah.
So it was convenient, which is the
Mm,
why. The why is
let's give it a go.
convenience. Yes. Um, Nostalgia. So they
I like that.
remind me of other times, such as like Metal Gear Solid and Crash Bandicoot, which are granted great games, but they definitely have like a lot of nostalgia attached to them for
Mm,
myself, and I'm sure for like many people. I'm sure everyone's got their nostalgic games, so that's a reason or a why that we play video games.
yeah.
Um,
It's a substitute for something that we used to have. And I know that sounds like a negative, but like you wouldn't go back and play certain old games because it's just not going to be the same. You can't recapture that image. But if they remind you and they can appeal to that aspect, then it's a
listen,
good
listen.
substitute.
You can write these notes down and then talk about it. Do your benefits and drawback in your own time. Let me just get through this because there's a
I
lot.
sorry, I thought we were talking. I'll leave you to it.
No, no, no. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm partially kidding. I'm just saying there's a lot to get through. So like,
Yep,
if we stop
go
for
right
each
ahead.
thing, like we're gonna be here for weeks, like I joked about earlier. Um, but no, it's perfectly normal to like kind of go into like that's what the drawbacks are gonna be is how it's kind of not a good thing. But yeah, it will make more sense as I kind of concisely ramble on. So the next why would be loyalty to Hideo Kojima. Um, are you still there?
Legend. Hello. Yep.
Okay, cool. I thought you fell off your seat or something. I had some noise.
Oh,
But
sorry about
yeah,
that.
loyalty to Hideo Kojima because that's a metaphor for loyalty to any brand, like which you always feel delivers and deserves support. Naughty Dog would be a good example for me.
Mm.
Um, with Uncharted and The Last of Us. So loyalty, yeah. Another reason for why I play video games is to, it shows us possible futures through, science fiction games such as Detroit Become Human. Um, so possibilities. So what is possible? Another why is it's an interactive medium.
Hello.
Uh, yeah, no, I completely didn't hear any even static, so I thought, are you still there?
Yeah, no, you cut out as well. I don't know what happened there.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, it's fine. We'll keep it moving. Always allows me to. I've written down. It always allows me to emulate things I may not be able to do currently, like WWE 2K allows me to simulate matches and even book. Okay, book my own shows, giving me a sense of
Totally
control.
start a wrestling match in your own house. I
Yeah,
would love to
yeah,
see
you
that.
could, you could. But it's just so much easier and tidier doing it in the confinements of a video game because it gives me
Yeah,
control. So that's the
like you
next
said, yeah,
why is
sense of
control
agency.
over something that you enjoy, and that's the kind of control you can't really get anywhere before. So if it's emulating something like sports, I'm sure there's people that play baseball games and American football games, and FIFA is the biggest example I can think of where you can kind of have control over what you would do in certain situations. So control is a big why I think. Um, Next point is I can be anything from soldier to Spider-Man. Power fantasies is the why. So it provides us with like these power fantasies. We can be superheroes flying around doing things that maybe we well obviously we can't start swinging around with webs and stuff, but power fantasies is the point there.
The expansion of a previous one, like control, giving you agency over
Yeah.
something that you can do. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we were to make a distinction between them, it would be that control is kind of like more of a like there's certain games like maybe like Warhammer where you control like a battlefield or a country or a situation. Whereas like with the power fantasy, I guess the distinction is you like in maybe Saints Row, you're an overpowered character and you can do these things that are just insane, and it gives you that kind of like I don't want to use the word mindless, but it kind of gives you that kind of just power fantasy to just kind of feel good for a bit, like that adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
Um, I have three more bullet points. The first of which being allows us to understand our friends better, or part of what's kind of shaped their childhood. So I think understanding is another reason. Um, allows us to compete with our friends in Tekken. But again, that can apply to anything. It could be Fortnite, it could be Call of Duty, it could be whatever. It allows you to compete and be competitive with your friends or frenemies or enemies or people that you don't like. I mean, if it's a case of outwar like it was when we were in high school, we would literally just it would become a real thing. Like you'd go into school um, because someone had attacked someone's clan or something like competing. Yeah, so competing I think is a big reason for why we play games. And I
Mm.
think the last one I have is pretty key as well because it's what have I written? To be able to go and explore anywhere or revisit somewhere you've been before. So I've been to Japan before, and I was able to go back to Tokyo when I put in Yakuza Zero and kind of see how it's been recreated digitally. Um, so I guess it's kind of a combination for that particular example. For me, it's like nostalgia with exploration, because obviously if you go to I don't know, one of the shops in Yakuza Zero. I haven't played much of it. You can kind of see the menu of the street food, and it's very, very similar. And there's other things in terms of like the way the buildings are structured that remind me of Tokyo, and I'm kind of able to go into that world and kind of explore.
Quite an authentic recreation.
Yeah. So those are like a handful of some of the whys. So challenge, distraction, creativity, time with friends, sense of engagement, emotional engagement, sense of achievement, experiencing new realities, sensations, nostalgia, loyalty, possibility, interactivity, control, power fantasies, understanding, competition, exploration. So I didn't, at first I was just kind of like, yeah, why do I play video games? Because they're fun, and then it's kind of like, well, why are they fun? Like, let's get into it. So I want to get into some of the benefits and drawbacks, and like, I want your input on this as well, because
Sure.
I'm sure it will trigger some kind of thought process for you. So the first thing we mentioned was like a challenge, right? So I think that's largely in part to what makes games worth gaming. If that doesn't make sense. That makes gaming worth playing the game. The way it kind of challenges us to overcome a situation, and I think that's missing a lot these days when it comes to mobile games, because that model is kind of different though. Or it's essentially like pay to win, or it's grind to achieve kind of a gameplay loop.
I
And at
wouldn't
this,
say challenge is
sorry, go on.
necessary. Sorry,
Yeah,
like either way you're playing the game, you're getting something from it. Otherwise, it's
yeah,
just work. And challenge doesn't necessarily have to be. Mostly, it's like it's fun to play. That's the main thing. It's a hobby. You're getting something from it. But sometimes, like you said, it's a challenge. Would you say every single moment of Super Meat Boy is fun?
Um, yeah, I would, yeah. For
Okay.
me,
Yeah, for you. That's fair. That's why you play it. Some people would be like, "Oh, this is not fun. I don't enjoy this, but I have to
hmm,
do it. I have to complete it."
yeah,
So it might not be as fun, but the challenge is another motivator. So there are
yeah,
multiple reasons to play
absolutely,
the game.
absolutely. I'm glad you actually mentioned that because I'm just about to make kind of going into that whole challenge thing.
Yeah.
I just kind of I
And
in terms of, sorry, go on.
so yeah, just the point of the mobile games is that for them, like you said, there's no challenge there. They're not always fun, but they're still getting something from it. Like it's easy achievement. It's a substitute for something else that they're not
Sure.
getting. So there's multiple motivators, but essentially, yeah, it's a substitute.
Hmm.
Anyway, carry on.
No, but this is why the segment is called "Why I Play
Yeah.
Video Games." But yeah, I know I get that perspective, and yeah, so I kind of wrote something about that, and I'm glad you mentioned it because what I've written down is at this point the why becomes more of an addiction than a challenge,
Mm,
because if we look at the way these kind of pay to win or grind to achieve kind of uh, the model of it is based very closely to like the
gambling.
gambling machines in Vegas. I mean, I'm not going to go into that because I mean, I'm sure people can just go and Google it and you'll see kind of the way they trigger us to kind of keep our attention. Like the challenge. I'm just saying in that kind of
No, it's true. You,
game,
you
it,
put
it it
you,
kind of
you put money in, you get
yeah
acceptance and achievement out of it.
yeah.
So
Um,
that's why they have
let me
this
just
good
finish
warning.
the what I've written and then we'll discuss it. Yeah. Um, So I enjoy the challenge of my game because I suppose the purpose is to stimulate our minds enough to come up with a solution for a problem. I think that's at the heart of what the meaning of challenges, I guess. Um, I think the drawbacks lie for me in the enjoyment of games that require an excessive amount of energy and time, or I've written in brackets, or grind, to get ahead, where the challenge is almost too great for it to be realistically enriching any other part of your life. So what I think I was trying to write there is like obviously it helps you in that moment or in that game or in that bubble, but it doesn't really do anything outside of that. And at this point, it's detrimental to your resource of time and effort. So this is when a challenge becomes addictive in a sense of like and it's hard for me to speak about Dark Souls and the Soulsborne type of games, but I think we all kind of know that kind of a game that's really challenging and it's like you have to keep playing. Super Meat Boy is an example of that game because in the past I've played that game where it's been challenging and because I don't want to give up the challenge I get addicted to like getting that next hit of like I need to complete the level. So to put it kind of simply, like I don't need my games to be so hard because life can be hard enough at times. But that's what I've written down anyway, for that whole kind of challenge portion of why we play games. So yes, Victor. Um, what were you saying about the what about the motivators? Yeah. So I guess I don't know if that covers it. What do you think?
Yeah, basically.
Because for me, yeah, like I like a challenge, but I don't like a challenge to the point where it's like stealing resources away from other things. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Like you only have a limited amount of resources in the world. You got like money, time being the most valuable one, and so if you want to play a hobby where you put into it, if it's time and money, you're paying a lot. You want to get something out of it. Sometimes you're playing something as like I just spent 2 hours doing that. Was it worth it?
One of the that actually reminds me, yeah, that's a point because I was reading something from Kotaku. They're very good in the articles that they write. So, like you mentioned, Animal Crossing and people kind of having that at the moment being the thing, like spending time with friends. Or, oh, sorry, it was about creativity. And there's a really good article that this guy did on Kotaku where he's like spent a lot of time. I guess this is not the same why because I guess we're talking about challenge, but he talks about how he was doing all of these things, and at the end of the day, he kind of feels like, well, did I make the best use of my time? Although you're in that loop. Um, I'm kind of trying to look at it in a way of like, okay, the challenge was good, but how can I use it to permeate like other things? So when you ask like, is Super Meat Boy fun? Yeah, it's fun because it wasn't fun before. It's fun for me now because I'm kind of playing it in shorter bets, and that kind of allows me to focus, and then I get a buzz off of finishing one level. So that challenge is kind of perceived differently. So it's just a challenge of one level. But then when I complete it, even if it takes 20 minutes, I'm like, yes, fuck, I did it, and I feel like I got something out of it. But that's just again, that's just me. Like when it comes to that particular game and that particular challenge.
Yeah, fair enough.
Is there anything you want to add? Is there anything you want to dispute? Is there anything you want to?
Not at this point.
Okay, cool. Um, and again, I just want to, like I said, I want to preface this by saying these are all like my perceptions and perspectives. So like, I'm sure if you've got something different or you don't agree or you agree or whatever the case is, leave it in the comment section, and I'll definitely check them out. The next why and the kind of benefits and drawbacks are the distraction or the escapism, which is one of the whys for why we play video games. I think this can be a double-edged sword. What do you think?
Definitely. Like anything, it has to be balanced in life. Like it can be, I've argued this before, is that it can be a great hobby, just like gambling. If you, it can be fun as long as you're not losing it more than you're putting into it. You know, it's
Yeah.
like I'm going to go to Vegas, I'm going to spend $100 or whatever. That's fine. You go there, you spend it, and like, okay, I had fun. If you go there and like, oh, I need more, I can win it back, I can win more. You end up losing 1,000. Like that's dangerous. That's an addiction. That's become
See,
a
that's the
problem.
thing. It's not us I'm worried about. It's not us as players that I'm worried about. It's just the fucking the predatory mechanics that these fuckers use to get us addicted to that point of the challenge or kind of investing that attention. But
Yeah, that was the whole loot box controversy that they've had to now, be locked harder on. I think the SRB rating now actually includes random loot in it, so it's an actual fact now. You've got like sex, violence, drugs references, and now loot boxes has become a rateable offense. Essentially,
oh wow,
because like
okay.
you said, it's predatory.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of know enough to kind of know us better, but we're not better than anyone else. I mean, I could easily fall into like okay, there's a new Naruto mobile game, and now there's this, that, and the other. And like, it's not us I'm worried about as players. It's the responsibility that the creators and developers have. They use the same kind of tactics as Vegas Casino. So that was the whole thing with the
And the
with
problem
that.
is when they target kids.
Yes,
there was a whole
yeah, it's
Fortnite and
very
Overwatch. There's a
yeah.
young audience, mobile games especially.
Yeah.
Probably the
Yeah.
biggest
That's
offenders, actually.
that's a whole that's a whole dude, we can get into that. That's a whole another thing. In terms of like kids and gaming and whatnot. But yeah, so in terms of like distraction and escapism, what I've got here is like it can be a double-edged sword. Much like many of the whys that for why we play video games, I think a distraction in a time of need can save your life or at least provide you with some kind of respite from uncomfortable situations. So, like me personally, like after last year, like after my dad passed away in the summer, I completed the Horizon Zero Dawn. I played the DLC for Spider-Man. I played God of War. And my favorite distraction kind of came at the end part of the year in the form of Death Stranding. So I'd been kind of anticipating that for like years. So it gave me something to kind of sink into, and I could exchange my circumstances for a set of different ones. And I think in times like that, it's kind of it's a good thing. But again, being a double-edged sword, I think, however, for the majority of our lives, it kind of acts as like a fun distraction from reality. And I think if it's used effectively, it's great. It's better than like some of the other things we need to do to kind of alter our state, or the things that people kind of get into when they're trying to escape their circumstances. But I think, yeah, as small distractions, is if used effectively, it can be really good.
Yeah, because everyone wants to, have fun essentially, but
Yeah,
there's not usually they're trying to balance like work or life strife in some regards, so they want to balance it with something else, usually like drinking or sugar, overeating,
absolutely,
junk food.
absolutely.
So
Over
there's always a
shopping,
balance.
overeating, over drinking,
Exactly.
and doing these things to kind of change their state. So rather than doing that, you'd
Yeah.
much rather just play a game. I get
And
what you're saying.
there's more wholesome ways of doing. Like, oh, if it's fun activities like sporting, like events, going to concerts and all that. Something sustainable like sports is probably say one of the better ones, but the less harmful ones is probably I would say. I think you'd agree is that like you said, games is probably the more fun to play. But again, in
Yeah.
balance, if it's used to overbalance or compensate for lack of fun in other aspects of life, and you don't overshoot it by, say, spending your entire time playing video games all the way into the night, that it then balances too far in the other way, and now everything else is suffering at the expense of it, then you've gone too far in the other direction. But I
Absolutely.
mean, that's
I
more
couldn't
down to
agree more because I've been there. Do you know what I mean? Like I've
we've
been
all
on both sides of the spectrum where it's kind of like, yeah, I didn't want to include you in it because I wanted that's your
I appreciate
perspective
that.
to kind of share
But
publicly. But I've been there. Um,
many times we'd be up at 3 a.m. together.
yeah, we'd just be talking on Steam at like 3 in the morning, and it's like
Yeah. It's like everyone else is asleep, even everyone we
I'm
know
sure
online.
people
It's
that
like,
are
oh, hey,
listening might still be doing that. So it's not like
I'm
we're
sure they
not.
are.
Yeah, we're not.
I'm
It's not
sure
an
some of our listeners are 3 a.m. in their own country somewhere.
Yeah, I hope you're listening to this at 3 a.m., but we just want to make you aware of the fact that there's two ends of the spectrum when it comes to the distraction and escapism, and you kind of have to have that kind of work for you rather than against you. So
Yeah,
I think that
everything
was
should be in balance.
yeah, I think you made a very good point there.
I think you.
So next the next why, which I had on the list earlier, was creativity and like possibilities. So oh, sorry. Before we move on, yeah, I actually had a little note here about distraction, escapism. Yeah, so the drawback here again is when it's not used effectively and tarnishes other areas of our lives, such as spending time with those who actually matter. So yeah, that kind of just it goes off of what you were
Oh
saying.
yeah, prioritizing
Um,
is always very important. You could be like, oh, I really want to play games, and I was like, but is it the most effective use of my time right now?
yeah,
That's no. It's like, oh, my sisters or my kids or whatever. You're like,
yeah.
should you really be playing games then? It might be the most fun thing in the world for you at that particular moment.
Let me
But
ask
again,
you a
you have to
question.
balance it.
Have you ever had that thing? Because I know I have, where you kind of like you have all these things to do, whether they're chores or work related or whatever it is, and then you're like, I really just want to play so and so, and it's kind of like you kind of over prioritize that time you have. Whereas if you kind of just equally attack each thing coming your way, you'd probably be happy. Like you need
Yeah.
gaming to be happy. Because I've
Mm.
had that where it's like I need that to kind of have this period of time where I'm happy and it's me time. Whereas if I would have just attacked everything else before that with that same cheerfulness, like I
Then
wouldn't
you can actually relax.
put
Yes.
yeah I wouldn't put it on a pedestal. So I don't know if you've
Yeah.
ever had that, but that was kind of
I
my
have had
question.
times when I've had, oh wow, I have an entire day off in the middle of the week. What I
Yeah,
want to do right now, it's like, oh, I'll do that thing I've been meaning to do for a while. I can get so much done. I can be productive. It's like, no, I'll just play games. It's been a while since I played games for the entire day. So I did.
yeah.
Gets to the end of the day, feel like crap. It's like, what have I
But then
done? It's, I could,
it feels very similar. I don't know if you feel the same way, but it feels very similar to when I overeat or when I have
yeah,
like
exactly.
if you get pizza and there's pizza left over the next day and you're just still eating pizza or you're just eating more of a things that are kind of indulgences. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I was like, I could eat this entire cake right now, and while you're eating it, it's like, yeah, this is really nice. I want to keep eating cake, but as soon as it's done and you have a moment to think about it, it's like that was not good.
That was
Why
not
did I
good.
do that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna regret this for the next few hours, possibly tomorrow.
yeah,
So and that happens more with age. When you're younger, you recover from that, much quicker, or you don't even think about it. It's like that was nice. Next thing,
hmm.
but the
I
older you
think
get, the more you have to consider these kind of things.
it's not even consider. I think there's a trade off. I think when you're younger, you can kind of get away with it because your
Yeah.
metabolism, whatever. But that is only going to last you for so long. Whereas when you kind of understand things a bit better, you get a bit wise about it. You're kind of like, I can still enjoy these things, and I can probably
Mm.
enjoy them more by practicing some discipline. Like
Yeah, because you're
have
you're
your
more
cake.
aware as you grow older.
Yeah,
Yeah, have your cake.
just
But only a piece that you can justify, essentially.
yeah. That's cool. That's a good analogy. Yeah. So we're moving into the next why, which is creativity and possibilities. So what I've got here in my notes is it allows us to create things. So whether you're playing like Minecraft or Dreams or Animal Crossing, it lets us play in that wonderful sandbox with tools provided by the developer. Yeah, at the same time, we can only play in the box that they've created. So, but
Yeah,
that's not always a bad thing. That's not always such a bad thing. But I think
because
creativity is generally good all around.
yeah, and limitations do often breed creativity. Like, oh, I can't do this. What can I do instead? How can I be creative around this?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I've seen that with yeah, I mean, if you've ever played any kind of game that requires you to be creative, there's always like it kind of forces you out of the box, even though you're in the sandbox.
Mm.
It kind of forces you to
Also,
kind of think outside of that box. Okay, what do I need to do to kind of achieve whatever the result is, or create whatever you want to create?
yeah, more options are always great, but if you don't really know what to do to begin with, then it can be overwhelming. It's like, wow, here's everything. Just do what you want. It's like, I'll punch a tree, see what happens with that. You got to learn to be creative sometimes. You got to learn to utilize each tool effectively. Otherwise, you just get spoiled for choice. So there's a balance to be attained there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's all I have to say about that. I think you closed that point off quite well. Creativity is good. Um, it's very wholesome as well. Like as long as you're creating, uh,
You don't have, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone, and that's a good thing
yeah,
because
I'm trying
in
very
games,
carefully to word what I'm about
yeah.
to say. Um,
But that's the thing; it is harmless for the most part. As like it's a way to be creative without being offensive or rude or impact on someone else's ability to be creative.
yeah, so I guess
And
that's the drawback is allowing the dickheads to be creative.
yeah, I mean, again, but it's better that they're doing it here rather than out. Like, if an arsonist,
Yeah.
for example, had those kind of tendencies, it's better that they blow up a virtual mountain than someone's backyard, for example.
Yeah. But I guess that's yeah. I guess yeah. It's not too much of a bad thing, but I guess that's just trolls, right? They're gonna be trolls
Yeah,
everywhere. They're gonna be trolls
but
on the
again,
internet. They're gonna be trolls in the comment section. There's gonna be trolls in
exactly.
your game of Skyrim or whatever,
Yeah,
or Elder
this is more
Scrolls.
down to the actual people. They're going to be doing these kind of things regardless. Might as well put them somewhere safe.
Yeah. So don't be a troll. Create the
Yeah,
right way. Create good things that you can share with people that people can like. Whether you're playing Death Stranding and okay, there was one thing Okay, so I'm gonna go off on a side note because we're talking about creativity. It's kind of tied in with one of the other points. But in terms of creativity, so Death Stranding is a game where you kind of create pathways
yeah.
so that you can navigate the land and whatever else. And there's one thing I'm just going to confess that I did. So there was a bridge that was kind of inconveniently placed across like a gorge. And I didn't like it. So I built my own bridge next to
Uh-huh.
that bridge in a slightly better position. And then I put up signs because the game really the game really deters you from being negative, which is kind of it's a cool thing to see in video games. Like
Yeah.
you can't really do anything to affect anyone else, but you can contribute to what they're creating, or you can kind of deliver packages that they've kind of taken halfway, and you can kind of take the baton off them and kind of finish the race for them. But what I did was the most passive aggressive thing that I could have in that game, which was put up signs next to his bridge with an arrow pointing to the left. And if you look on the
Uh-huh.
left, you see my bridge with a smiley face on it. So that was about as offensive as I could get in that game. But
Yeah,
I thought that
I
was a
mean,
funny story.
yeah, you're still being honest. It's like if your bridge is genuinely better, you didn't like destroy his bridge, for
No, no,
example.
no.
But if yours is better, you've given people the option of trying both, and if they agree with that, then like it's like a desire path. People are going to pick the best way possible, and you contributed to that.
Yeah, yeah. At least at the time, I thought my bridge was kind of more helpful to me. It's just I don't know
Yeah.
what it was. There was something in the even driving up to the bridge, like the road was kind of rocky or the path wasn't great, and I was just like, this is so inconvenient. It's like a pebble in your shoe that's constantly there, and you're just fed up. So you're like, fuck this. I'm gonna take it off, put on some other shoes, or get rid of the stone. Do what I need to do to make this consistent habit kind of more desirable. To use
Yeah.
this path.
If you wanted to be really passive aggressive, you could have put a frowny face on his as well.
Um,
That would be going the extra mile, but you didn't do that. So
Yeah, but all of these things are like very mild in terms of
yeah.
using creativity for the wrong things. But I'm sure we can all think of examples of like things that
Oh, the
people do
internet
just to
is
be. Yeah,
full
it's
of
like
examples.
we don't need to we don't need to get into that. Like everyone knows
Exactly.
they're out there. But sometimes if you just ignore them, they disappear. But in terms of creativity and possibility, I think I think mostly the ability to kind of use your mind to create something is very good.
Definitely.
It's a good why. In terms of possibilities, I think I mentioned earlier about like Detroit Become Human, which is something I haven't played yet, but it doesn't seem too far away from. I don't even want to call it science fiction because it's not. It's not too far away from being a thing.
It's getting
Um,
there, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because obviously the meaning is whatever we attach to it, but it shows us possibilities. So it kind of allows us, even as spectators, to kind of see, okay, what's kind of possible.
Yeah, it's always good to
Um,
be aware of what might happen.
yeah, it's really okay. So again, I'm gonna have to go on a side note and just kind of put this out there in the universe, like with everything going on with the state of the world right now, and Hideo Kojima's kind of knack for being able to predict things before they actually become a thing. Like this guy
Oh yeah,
literally has some kind of a time travel machine because he was able to predict the Death Stranding before there was even a coronavirus.
it's true. An
Like
entire world built on delivery services. It's fantastic.
yeah, and connecting and reconnecting with people and kind of getting
Yeah.
back to the basics of like what we are as kind of humans and all of these other little things, nuances that I kind of noticed with Sam Bridges, which is the character that Norman Reedus plays. He's got a
Mm.
fear of touching people. You know, there's a word for the phobia or
Yeah.
something, but there's this kind of thing about kind of him being distant and like it is so reflective.
Mm.
Um,
He's socially distant, would you say?
of kind of okay, so now that you've used that word, I want to address that too. I don't think that's the word that we should be using. I know it's the marketing word that's kind of thrown out there, but I don't feel socially distant from anyone. I'm keeping in touch with everyone, maybe more than I have been, and I feel
Mm.
like I'm putting in the effort to kind of like see how everyone is and kind of be what I need to be. Physical distance, I think, is important. I think
Mm.
we need to rebrand it as physical distancing because it makes sense. Because physically, we need to kind of keep away from spreading things to other people or being on the receiving end of something that could kind of spread. But I don't think we're socially distant. Like we've actually been able to come here every Wednesday and like catch up, which is something we didn't even do last year. Like there was times it would just be like you'd feel bad because you were like I don't feel like I'm keeping in touch, and I'll be trying to message you, and then sometimes I don't get a response, or I don't respond to you quick enough, whatever the case is.
Mm.
But like compared to last year, I don't think we're as socially distant as we are. Uh,
That's a very
you
good
know.
point.
So
I
just
think that the whole
sorry, go
point
on.
is that sociability has been intrinsically linked with going out and meeting people physically, whereas that's just not the case anymore. So they call it
Yeah.
social distance because they don't want you to keep your distance socially. But if anything, like you said, now everyone is being more social than before
Yeah,
because they're either
physically it would
stuck at
make
home.
sense.
Yeah,
Physically stay away from things and don't touch things
yeah,
because you're physically not only distancing yourself from people but objects that might contain things. So I mean, if a metallic surface or a table or a bench outside has some COVID-19 on it, you're not going to socialize with it and ask it how it is. You're going to maybe touch it and catch the thing. So physically you need to be a bit distant.
yeah.
Um, so I went on a bit of a tirade there. I didn't mean to.
That's okay. I
I
mean,
went a
this
bit
whole
off topic.
if you go off topic enough, that becomes the topic, so it's fine.
Yeah, but let's get back on topic with some of the drawbacks and benefits of why we play video games. So, and this ties in really well. It segues into the next why, which is spending time with friends. So,
Yeah,
what I've got written down is I've spent numerous hours, with friends, playing games online, making new
kicking their ass.
friends, being being able to be social from the comfort of my own space. So so that's kind of like the advantage I think that I wrote down.
That's true because being so like even if nothing else, even neither you enjoy games so much, it's like alcohol or a party. It's a social lubricant. It gives you something to talk about. It's like, haha, look what just happened
Ooh,
in the game.
social lubricant. I like that. I like the sound of that. Yeah.
Rather
Sorry,
than
go
being
on.
socially different, now we're lubing the social process. Anyway, let's not focus on that too much. Just
Nice. I like the way you're
thank you.
penetrating this topic. Yeah, very good.
Just smoothing the friction. Anyway, uh, where were we?
I don't know. You were making innuendos.
Yeah. But yeah, just the on the other side of that, if you play say a mediocre or bad game on your own, you're like that becomes a sour experience. It's like that was crap. I'll leave it. If you play a bad game with a good friend, suddenly it becomes a fun experience. It's like, oh my god, did you see this? It's like watching bad movies. It can be hilarious. It changes the entire dynamic.
Yeah, I think it's a very important part of the perception of the game. I think is I think that's what you meant. Is that what you
Hmm.
mean? Like the
Pretty
way
much.
you kind of experience it would be different. Like even if it's
Yeah. It
um
bleeds into good experiences.
yeah, I think
I
sure, go on.
if two people are hanging out, sorry, and they're a little awkward with each other, it's less awkward if you both have something to focus on as well.
Yeah. And in terms of the downside, do you
Hmm.
reckon that it comes at the price of neglecting our friends outside of that sphere of the video game?
It is a potential downside uh because it's artificial, it's easier to do it rather than like, oh, do you want me to come over? We can hang out. It's like, oh no, just jump online. We'll do it that way. It's much easier than you coming over. So it's like it does give the option to hang out online, which if there was no alternative is great. But if it's at the expense of hanging out physically, then that can be a downside, definitely.
Yeah. So again, I think it's how we use our time
Yeah.
with friends and kind of not prioritizing one over the other, I guess.
Yeah, there should
Um,
always be a prioritize of in house because yeah, you can just go to their house physically and still play the game if that's what you want to do.
yeah. So we were talking about couch co-op. Well, we weren't talking about couch co-op the other day. We were talking about a
It
question
is a
that
lost
Jas had
art.
asked me. Jas had asked me like, what do you think is a lost art of, of video games now? And I was like, that's a really good question. I will get back to you. But in the meantime, I thought I'd ask you that question, and then you said, yeah, couch co-op is something that's a bit of a lost art. Do you want to expound on that a bit, or?
Yeah, they're trying to force because it. I remember I kind of had this realization a while ago. It's that you could just say on the PS2 era, Xbox 360, you could just load up a game, and I know it still exists. It's not dead by any means, but it used to be at least somewhat of a focus that they would just have a game. The two of you could just own one game, one console, two controllers, four controllers, whatever, and just play it together. Now they're trying to force it more online, which again is good in that you can have more options. You don't have to be physically located in the same geographical location to play the game. But it seems more they at one point they said no, you could do these by system link, but not by local co-op. That was the only way to play certain games on the Xbox 360. Is if you got two Xboxes, you could link them together in the same room, but you can't play them together on the same Xbox. And that just seemed really arbitrary and weird. You're forcing us to buy another console, another copy of the game, just to play right next to each other. And
Yeah.
eventually they just went entirely, it's all online, which is the same process. You can still link to another PS4 in the same room or somewhere in China if you wanted to. But the emphasis is far less on playing with those right next to you because that's less sales, it feels like.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like a few reasons for kind of why they went
I'm sure it's a
in that
technical aspect as
direction.
well.
Well, I'm sure there's loads of aspects, but in terms of just me noticing it, I remember for me it was noticing it through racing games because when I used to play Need for Speed Underground 2 back, I say back in those days, but you could literally take your memory card over to your friend's house. You'd be sitting around, you'll be, talking shit about who's got the better car and who's gonna whoop whose ass, and all these things are pretty fun to do, in person.
Oh yeah.
Um, but I think as the kind of generation went on in terms of the actual hardware, I think one of the first times I noticed it was on a racing game. There was like no multiplayer. Like they had online multiplayer, and then I think it said something. Yeah, it was one player, and then they have online multiplayer. So I was like, wait, hold on. So that's kind of the shift in
Mm.
that kind of that chronology of racing games. That's when I noticed like, okay, so we can't actually just sit together and just like talk shit. We can, but obviously at the time, not everyone had either the game or the console or a fast enough internet connection to like kind of facilitate these things. So that's kind of when I noticed it. Um, when it comes to like couch co-op, I think one counter to that though is more recently. I don't know if you've ever played or heard of like Overcooked.
Oh yeah.
That
It's
is
quite fun. Very
probably
stressful.
yeah. I love that game because it's so simple. Um, and I think that would be my answer to Jasper's question because he was saying, what's a lost art now in games? I think is just simplicity.
Mm.
Um, because there have been games that have come out that are like dead simple, like Flappy Bird on mobile, which is a game in my book, by the way, because there was no,
Technically, yeah.
yeah, it's just one of those things where you have to use some kind of skill to like progress. But it was so addictive, but not
Mm.
addictive in a way that we want your money or you're kind of or paper toss as well, like these simple games. Um, I remember actually playing paper toss with Dips and Vimmel when we went to Holland. because we were all in the hotel and there was nothing to do, and there was like a bin there, and I just decided to crunch up some paper, and I couldn't get it in, and then that became a game. So like I think simplicity is one of those things just in games. Um,
Yeah,
that's kind of missing now because everything's so overcomplicated, and you have to get to a certain level grind before you can do
yeah,
things. Before Ezio
and
can climb a certain way now, he has to, that shows how
it
dated
definitely
my
did come back.
Assassin's Creed references are, because I've only played up until three.
Oh yeah, I mean there definitely was a huge influx of simple games again when the indie market just exponentially sprouted, which is interesting. But it's definitely not a focus of the mainstream anymore.
Yeah, so that was our kind of off-topic topic of the day, which was Jazz's question about what you think is a lost art form in video games nowadays. If you guys are watching this on YouTube and you've got something that you think is a kind of a lost art in video games, then obviously leave a comment in the comment section below and let us know. But as we continue on our conversation about why we play video games, the next point I want to get to is one of the whys is a sense of achievement. And then I haven't written much here. All I have in terms of what I've written is just in bold. I've got sense of achievement, and then and next to it I've got a little dash that says, or shall I say, false sense of achievement? Question mark.
I think it definitely does feed into it can be a false sense of achievement. We all have that aspect of like everyone wants to have like your vocation, your job, your passion in life. Like you want a hobby to achieve something, even if it's like, oh, I want to make models, oh, I want to do some macrame or whatever. Like
What is
that's
macrame? I've never heard of that.
I don't know. It's another 3D hobby craft, I believe.
Okay.
But it's something you do physically with your hands. It's like, oh, look at this. This is what I've made.
Hmm.
And I think gaming is like that. That, oh, look, I finished this game. Like, it's not. I wouldn't call it false because you've still done it. You can prove you've done it. It's like, look, I
Yeah.
have, and now it's easier these days. You're like, look, go online. I have the trophies to prove it.
Yeah.
It might not be as tangible anymore, which might be a missing link as it used to be. So
Yeah.
if you have like your macrame piece, whatever that is, I'm gonna
I
Google
need
that
to
after this.
Google this thing, whatever is
Yeah.
macrame, while you talk. Go on. Sorry, I'm listening.
But if you have that, it's much easier. Look, you can touch it, you can feel it, you can show it to people much easier. But that doesn't just because it's more ephemeral, I guess, because it's the emotions are still real. You finish a game, you experience through it, you go through it, it's like, wow, that was exciting, oh, that was fun. I now have these memories. Those are real, but they only exist within you to a certain extent. They're not as tangible, like I said.
Yeah.
So it's just a different level, and it can lead to definitely like when you go over balance, and if you're missing that any kind of sense of achievement in life, and you just that becomes an addiction of like, oh, another trophy, oh, another trophy, I need to keep doing that because I don't have anything else going in my life. This is easy, I can keep doing it. That can be a sign of something much worse, but that's not an intrinsic issue. It's definitely something to look out for, though.
I think you
Just
covered most of kind of the sentiments I had too, in terms of like hopping back and forth between the kind of ups and downs of that kind of sense of achievement. Yeah, because like there'll be times where I'm like, really, I'll go through a game. Okay, let's talk about in terms of trophies on the PlayStation. Like I'll go through a game, and if I feel like I can get the platinum, sometimes I'll just do it just for that sense of like I want the platinum trophy.
yeah,
Um,
it's nice.
some of those times where you kind of go after it, where you'd point to the trophy and be like, look, I actually did it. Like here's a sense of achievement. For me, would be like something like God of War, because there's
Mm,
some trophies there that aren't easy. They're definitely doable.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, they're not easy. So I do feel like I've kind of I've achieved conquering that particular thing. So I think there is
Yeah,
a sense of achievement.
it, it's like a trophy case of things you're proud of. But like, there's also the other aspect of that. Sometimes it's like, well done, you started the game up. Here's a trophy. It's like, oh, I don't feel like I earned that.
So
What's
that goes
I
into the balance again of like games
yeah,
that, for example, have been suggested to me, or people that I know people everyone plays differently. But
mm,
so this would be a kind of a subsection of our topic, which is like why I go after like trophies. You will not find me playing a game just for a trophy list. So I won't be buying something like My Name is Mail just to press X 100 times to
yeah,
get a particular trophy and get easy platinum, because I don't think, I think that rings hollow for me. I know that's not
It
the
does.
case for everyone.
It kind of defeats the point, in my opinion. I know some people go after that. They like seeing their numbers go higher, and that's okay. If that's their hobby, that's what they find. As long as I feel like they have a balance in terms of everything else, that's great.
Yeah, because I'm
As
I'm
long
assuming
as
they'd
it's
feel
not a
some.
cry for help, so to speak.
Yeah, but it might be. You never know.
Yeah.
But
So it's
as
something to
long
keep
as
an eye on.
they're definitely fulfilling something in them that requires
Yeah.
them to want to,
And I mean,
have that
it is
number
impressive.
mouse.
Like the numbers these guys can get up to is like they like level 50 or whatever on their Pokemon, it's like PlayStation trophies or people with over 100,000 gamer score on Xbox. Like that is truly impressive. Those are impressive. Like some people, like I, for example, like I played a lot of games. I don't think I got more than 10,000 gamer score on Xbox, and that was a lot of games. There's some people who would just run for like they were almost Olympic level at these kind of things. So
Yeah. So
in a way, that can become something world class. That's something you didn't expect.
yeah, that's
So
that's
if you're
the
going to do
that's a
something,
good outlook.
excel at
Good.
it.
Yeah, I mean that's a good outlook on it. But there might be people that just go after again. I don't want to get too into it because this is why we play games. But there might be people that
Yeah,
play games for that sense of achievement because they might not feel like they get it from anywhere else.
yeah. So
Um,
again, to feed into that, why we play games, you have to just be aware why you're doing it. It's the motivation behind it. If you genuinely enjoy it and it's giving you something, and it's a hobby and it's not impacting anything else, that's great. Keep like all the more power to you. But if it's a substitute for something you're not getting somewhere else, then that might be worth looking into.
Yeah, I think this whole kind of thing has been very introspective, and I think in terms of sense of achievement, it is like an individual thing. So it's something that you need to ask yourself. Like we can't tell you. You need
Mm.
to ask yourself like, what is it that you get out of it? What is the sense of achievement, and what does it really mean?
Yeah,
The next thing I want to get to is emotional engagement. So I had that as like
which feeds into that.
yeah. So something that kind of makes you feel. This is what I've written down. Something that makes you feel in capitals is profoundly better than something that doesn't. Um,
Absolutely. That's why
I think
we're
that's the
here.
case. I think that's the case with everything. Like if you like lack of emotion, is lack of motion. Lack of motion is death, sort of thing. So it has to make you
That's,
feel something.
yeah. Ultimately, if you're not enjoying it, why are you doing it? If it's
Yeah.
not giving you what it's supposed to, if you're not, why are you doing it?
Does
If
that does
I mean,
that
it's a
tie in
job.
with grind? Because I feel like I've done that in terms of like grind. In certain
Yeah,
games, where I'm just
that's
grinding for the sake of grinding because I need the
is
particular thing.
yeah, exactly. Is the grind worth it? That's why it's worth looking into. Some people you can easily get caught into the grind in the same way you can get caught in an addiction. What do you like? You have to step back and look. Why am I doing this? What am I doing? I've been doing this one thing for a week with no visible improvement. I haven't got the trophy. I haven't finished the level. I'm just increasing the number. And why am I doing this? Is it going to
Yeah.
take another week, another 2 weeks? Am I okay with that?
I mean,
If
you'll
that's
probably
fine,
get there in the end, but it'll probably make you very numb, which means you're not really feeling the game anymore. And sometimes that kind of like defeats the purpose. Like at the moment, I'm going through The Last of Us Remastered. I played the first hour of it, and oh my god, it's such an impactful first hour. There's so
mm,
many things you go through in terms of how you feel, and it's kind of like I am fully engaged. Like when I'm playing that, I feel so immersed. I've only played the first 2 hours, so I was playing the second hour of it on stream like last night. And like
mm,
there was a point in the game where I just kind of stopped talking, and it wasn't intentional. It's just because I was so drawn in to that engagement that I get from everything that I'm kind of seeing. And that's a big why is that you need to be able to feel something.
yeah,
But then
which feeds into the last point quite nicely. But yeah,
yeah,
carry on.
is a possible drawback then the fact that it dulls our emotions to things in our own realities because they're
Yeah, it
not
should
as
never be a
stimulating.
substitute.
Yeah, does it kind of Yeah, exactly. That's what I was getting at. Yeah, does it substitute or does it dull some of the things we experience in our day-to-day existences that kind of
Mm.
make us want to go back to them because we can't get that anywhere else?
Yeah, which
Is that,
again, if it's your only alternative, then it's like what they say on the vitamin supplements. It's like it should not substitute a healthy diet, but in addition
yes,
to.
yes, yes,
So
exactly,
it's a
exactly,
temporary
exactly.
solution. Always look ahead to an actual solution.
Um, I think it can kind of as long as you kind of are aware. But this is the thing. So I've been thinking about this, Victor, lately. Yeah, all of
Mm.
these things we experience as we feel them in the games. Isn't that kind of real? in a sense that we are experiencing them. Or it
It
might
is
be, I'm
absolutely.
not going to go out and after playing GTA, I'm not going to feel a certain way. Where I think they've demonized, video games in the mainstream media in the past, where they say, kids go and do these things off. And I'm sure there are people that are influenced to a certain point, but I'm speaking of myself. Like, I don't play a GTA and then go outside and think I'm going to go and press triangle next to a car and get in and, actually drive off. But these are actual things in my mind that are compartmentalized as a part of my gaming experience, but they are still decisions I'm making.
Yeah, it's for your mind. It doesn't uh, adequately distinguish between real and fantasy. It's just it's a task you're doing. You
Yeah.
know it is. You know like, oh, I'm not going to go out and drive a car into a building. Like that would be stupid. But for you, it's you're still feeling emotions. You're growing close to certain characters or
It's
places or
affecting you. It's
experiences.
affecting you, I
Yeah,
think is what you're trying to say. Is
it's
affecting you because
yeah,
there's
exactly. It's
even
your
research
motivation.
out there to show you that if you even visualize certain exercises, like say you're on a treadmill, your body will react a certain way. Another I can tie that right back into gaming. It's like when I'm playing VR and I first started playing VR, and I was playing the VR Worlds kind of demo, and there's a particular demo in that where you're in like a cage that's being lowered under water. You're not
Mhm.
moving. You're physically not moving, but your mind thinks you are. And when you're moving, I started to feel it in my stomach. I was like, oh, well, it actually feels like I'm moving because what the eyes.
Yeah,
What's the saying? That what the eyes see and the ears hear, the
I
mind
hear, hear
believes.
the
Like,
mind believes exactly. It doesn't know any better.
yeah. So I think kind of looking
So
at
your
it that
conscious
way.
mind, yeah, like your conscious mind, upon reflection, it knows like, okay, this is a game. That's fine. I can distinguish between the two. But your
Yeah.
experiences feel real. They still evoke the
Yeah.
same emotions.
So
You
in
still
that
have the
sense, it is
memories.
a real experience. What we're kind of going through in these kind of micro pockets of
Definitely.
our mind. They are kind of decisions we're making, and they kind of feed into some kind of you know choice that we make in terms of who we are. Like, I know it's getting really kind of deep into it, but this is why we're here. We're here to discuss it.
Yeah,
Why?
exactly.
um, so I think, yeah,
If people weren't
emotional
enjoying it, they
engagement.
wouldn't be so popular.
Yeah, I think this is why games like The Last of Us are so popular, is because it engages you so well emotionally.
Mm,
And kind of what Victor and I are discussing is like why this can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how much power you give it.
yeah. Again, that's a good point. It should not overpower you. It should be a hobby and nothing more. It should be an enhancement of your life, not become your life.
Um, And that kind of ties in with the next why, which is the experiencing new realities and sensations. So my notes read, Astrobot is an amazing game. In fact, a lot of games on PSVR I've been lucky enough to play, such as Moss, Blood and Truth, are great because they're hard to explain because of the lack of vocabulary there is yet for me to use to explain what I'm experiencing in VR. So what I mean by that is like when I first started playing VR, I didn't know how to describe the game because I was like, how do you? I can kind of tell you that you're in the game and you're in the space, but that doesn't like verbally that doesn't kind of encapsulate what I'm experiencing in terms of how I feel. It's not measurable, like
Yeah.
it's not a tangible thing for me to kind of convey. Yeah, so it's a why for why we would play something like that. And it doesn't have to be VR. It could be experiencing new realities and sensations in terms of like it kind of ties in, I guess, with like emotional engagement.
Mm.
Um, experiencing new realities, kind of like playing Beat Saber was like really fun.
Yeah, you'd never get that anywhere else. I mean, until we get to the point where you can physically have two lightsabers, and but again, even then, they do it probably just be a military project.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
Most
there,
people
but
won't get to
obviously
experience it.
we probably won't know for another 10 years if it is in existence. But that
Yeah,
is what it is.
and would they put it to the beat of the music? No, they wouldn't, most
No,
likely.
I mean, what a cool use of two things that kind of embody yourself and myself. Is like I love rhythm games, and I know you love Star Wars, and it's just the perfect.
And now
Like if we were
it's a
to make a
blending.
game together, it would probably be Beat Saber.
Yeah, I'd say so.
um, but yeah, tying into the next thing is kind of similar. So it's exploring. So why we play games to explore. So the upside is it kind of allows us to naturally engage in something that we all have as humans, and that's like a genuine curiosity to kind of explore from the time we could crawl.
Yeah, it's like these kind of things the Lord of the Rings universe. It's like before now, you could only experience it in books, you couldn't visualize it, and then they made the movie, and now you can physically see it, and now with games like Battle for Middle Earth or Shadow of Mordor, you can revisit it and actually envisage it. You can embody it in ways that you
Yeah.
couldn't before. It's a new dimension of these kind of things. And then there's so many new IPs, like intellectual properties and games that entire kingdoms of people. Actually, we live better now than kings do back
Yes.
then. They they were living in the lap
I'm
of
glad
luxury.
you mentioning that, man. That's a very profound point, and sometimes we forget.
Yeah, we're very fortunate these days, and like you said, people don't realize sometimes.
And we're
So just
still not
another good.
happy. We're still not happy. We still need the next new thing, which leads into my next point, which is convenience. Why we play
Mm.
games. It's convenient. So we want the next hot new thing or whatever. And the good thing is it's convenient. Sometimes there's a sale on Steam, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy this Learn
Oh yeah,
Japanese to Survive game, or I'm gonna buy this thing. Or in some cases, we've already played for PS Plus, so we get the free 2 games that are coming out every month, which is really cool.
yeah,
So convenience is why we play games. It's one of the reasons why we play games. It's a good thing, getting things on the cheap. But it
yeah.
is also the reason I have a backlog. Continue.
There's too many. Yes, that's another thing. We've become overbalanced in terms of. Remember when you were young, you had like you got a new game. It's like, oh, this is my game. This is the game I'm going to play for the next week, month, or whatever, or repeatedly for years, because it was your game. There was the one you had the exact copy of one game in your life, and now you have thousands or hundreds or whatever, and it's like, it's spoiled for choice, or not, maybe not spoiled for choice particularly, but it's just you don't have to. You don't have to play the game you have now because you have others. You don't
Yeah.
have to. If he's like, oh, this game's a little hard, I'll play that one. Oh, I don't like where this game is going, I'll just play another one. I'll try another one. So it's
It's
again,
kind
it's
of like boobs, isn't it? Like back in the day, your ancestors probably only saw one pair their whole
yeah,
lives. And
if they
now
were
you
lucky.
can just click anywhere and you can get as many boobs as you want.
Yeah,
I hope that analogy
spoiled for
makes sense
choice.
to everyone listening.
No, it's true, and that's probably leading to a bunch of relationship issues. But again, that's how society is adapting. But
Convenience, yeah.
that's convenience
Something
can
that
be a
is not
troublesome thing.
related to boobs is the next Y, which is nostalgia. So my notes are
Oh, you can
uh,
be nostalgic about.
the plus side is that it taps into very positive and powerful emotions, which is great because it helps you feel good. And at times it can be almost like a comfort consumption. However, if you gave me a copy of Shenmue and I played it with your rose tinted glasses, I might not experience the same thing as you. Much like how if I gave someone a copy of Metal Gear Solid 1, their experience wouldn't be the same as mine. I have a lot of love tied to my nostalgic games. There can be instances where engaging in your nostalgia might dampen your memories of a game. I can't personally think of any that come to mind, but the Power Rangers TV show is definitely one for me. Okay, so I think I
That
was
is a
quite
very good
extensive
point.
in my notes there. I was kind of getting at nostalgia.
Yeah, I mean, I had this similar thing where there's a game I hadn't played for a long time, and you just get the urge to play again. Oh, it's on Steam, great, convenience. I got it. It's £1 or whatever. Great, I'll play it. It'll be great. I haven't played it in 20 years. I'm sure it'll be just as great. And you play it, and you remember why you haven't played it because games have advanced somewhat in 20 years, and it's like,
Yeah,
oh, this UI, oh, the
absolutely.
graphics, oh, it's like you still have the nostalgia. It's great. It's still a big prop. It helps, but when you're replaying it, you're not experiencing it for the first time again, so it's not going to be as special. And there are some games that do hold up, and you can find new things. That's fine, but it's not necessarily going to happen every single time, and it can leave you with a sense of disappointment that might, like you said, dampen the nostalgia. And now
Yeah,
that's your last memory of
it
what you
is it
just
is
did.
a gamble, isn't it? Because you never know how it's going to turn out. You might think in your mind, yeah, oh my God, it was so good back in the day, and then sometimes you're
Yeah,
surprised at how good it is, like Final Fantasy X.
yeah,
Even 18 years on, I just finished the game. I just finished the
and
game, and it's
And in
still good.
that game's defense, it was a remaster, which again helps the process. Who
Oh
knows? It
yeah,
might have been. It probably would have been the same to an extent because it's still the same gameplay ultimately. But I'm sure the added graphics and stuff. It does show that. I guess leads to another point that it is nostalgic for a lot of people. That it still has that much attention for people to spend money on remastering the damn thing.
and
You know?
they couldn't even let you skip cutscenes, but that's a whole different point. Um,
Yeah, they had no reason for not allowing that.
the next why that we want to kind of get into in terms of the benefits and drawbacks of why we play video games is loyalty. So I kind of joked about it earlier with loyalty to Hideo Kojima because again that's why I play. For me, it's kind of tied in. To just quickly take a personal note, like every time there's been a new console, the reason I've gotten it was to play the Metal Gear Solid game. So
Mm.
when I first had the PS1, I was introduced to Metal Gear Solid 1 because I borrowed it off a friend, and then I bought the PS2 with Metal Gear Solid 2, like the bundle, and
Mm.
then 3 also came out on PS2, and then when the PS3 came out, I believe it was Metal Gear Solid 4 that we
Okay.
got with the console. And then for the PS4, it was Metal Gear Solid 5. So I've been very loyal to Hideo Kojima. So the upside is like you know what you're paying for because you trust the reputation of a brand or a person or a developer. So you kind of have some pattern to go off, which kind of gives you like an inkling as to what your expectations should be.
Mm.
And again, so the downside of this kind of loyalty is sometimes those
Agents.
expectations aren't met as a whole. As a whole, we get
Mm.
disappointed that things either don't come out on time, for example, or the more discerning experience is when the game just doesn't deliver what it was supposed to. And I use the air quotes for supposed to because I think it's another thing we can kind of take control of is just by managing our own expectations. What do you think?
I would say so, yeah, because a lot of people do tend to buy into the hype too much, and no game can ever live up to that much hype sometimes. So it's just not fair to the game and the developers and yourself to expect too much of anything. So if you just be responsible, it's like, oh, look, it's coming out. I'll not buy into the hype. It's like I will reserve myself a copy maybe, and then if I'm excited about it and just have reasonable expectations, like, oh, it'll be good. I don't know if it's the same as what I want it to be, but be reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to do it to some extent. They can't just like not advertise the game, but it can definitely be a downside, a detriment.
Yeah, I think yeah. It's again, I think it kind of relates to kind of how you perceive and how much power you kind of give it. Like I can be as excited as I want for like The Last of Us Part 2, but I don't want to kind of overhype myself into kind of believing something that is almost too big to live up to. I think it's one of those things that we need to as gamers take control of is our expectations. Um,
Yeah.
the next kind of point I have is interactive medium. So obviously this I think is a big plus
Hmm.
um, because the biggest advantage of this is obviously that it provides a form of entertainment, in the video game that we're kind of directing what's happening in front of us. In comparison to consuming other forms of entertainment where you are mostly passive, whether it be like TV, movies, radio, podcasts.
Hmm.
I think this could be a great advantage if you kind of realize that even though in the world of this game you are actively making decisions. Okay, all right. So I don't know why I was trying to say in my notes there, but I think the strength the strength is that like we are kind of in control of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely, and we should be. That's the whole point of, you know, having agency. And games give you more agency. It's just they should enhance you, not take over you.
Yeah. Do you think there's any
That what you mean?
downsides? Because I couldn't think of anything. I don't think off the top of my head, but in terms of it being interactive, is there a downside?
In terms of just being interactive, no. Other
I
than
mean, I
it
can't think
maybe
of one. This might be the one why where it's like, yeah, there isn't actually any
I'm all
downside
for
for it.
giving people more options. Other than maybe giving it to people too soon. Like I wouldn't give a 3-year-old a game. It's
Yeah.
too much too soon. Maybe not a 5-year-old, maybe not even a 7-year-old, depending on those kids. But as a tool, it's like saying, is a hammer a bad thing to give someone? It's like, no, if they need a hammer, it's just more options than having nothing. It's proven an effective tool, and I think games the same way. If you give people more options, more applications, they'll be more creative. They can have more. They can say no, you know. But there's nothing wrong with giving them the option.
Yeah, unless it's
Other
to
than
vote on an EU referendum, but that's a different topic. I should have not said
some
that.
people don't deserve the options.
That just kind of dented everything we've done so far. But the next point, actually, we're kind of coming towards control. So sometimes it gives us control over what. I want you to tell me, okay, what do you think are the positives and the negatives, or the benefits and drawbacks of control as a reason for why we play games?
As in, yeah, having agency is the whole point why we're here. Like we have hands, we
It's
have
very similar
eyes, we
to the
have
last point,
names.
I
Yeah,
think. Yeah. Sorry, go
Yeah,
on.
it just leads into giving someone more options. It's someone doesn't have to. If you give someone the same game as another person, they might do entirely different things. But that's them. It's another expression of creativity. It doesn't
Yeah,
have to be anything other than, oh look, here's a fun thing I can do. You give if they yeah, there's nothing particularly wrong with it,
yeah.
other than letting you have. It's a certain responsibility, just like anything. You give someone a sword, they might hurt someone. You give someone a hammer, they might hurt someone. You know, but that doesn't mean people shouldn't have swords. People shouldn't have hammers. You know, as long as they're responsible and there are guidelines. I'm not saying games are as dangerous
Does
as
this
a
tie
sword.
into
But
does this kind of tie into the earlier thing about like playing excessively or being like
yeah,
kind of addicted?
exactly. People
Because if you've
have to
got too
be.
much
Yeah,
control over a game, obviously you're gonna go back to it because you have control over it. Whereas there might be other aspects of your existence that you're kind of neglecting, and maybe you don't feel you have as much control. Like say at work for
yeah.
whatever, you come
It's
home
a
and you're
lot
like,
of. Sorry, yeah.
sorry,
Go
no,
ahead.
no, go on, go on.
It's a lot of control over an entire world, which is fine because that's the whole point. But if you give, say, a 10-year-old a copy of GTA, a lot of people can and did argue that's too much. And I agree, 10-year-olds shouldn't be playing, but that's why they have the 18 rating on it. But that's an example of where it can go too far. Just like um, feeding too much into, if someone's not mentally or emotionally in a good place, then games can be a good thing in terms of like, oh, this is give me that enjoyment, that sense of achievement I don't have, but it
Yeah.
shouldn't impact their real life and trying to attain those things in real life.
Like you said,
So
it shouldn't supplement like a good diet of
exactly, it's just finding a balance.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's very well expressed.
Thank you.
Um, and the last one I have not made any notes about, but the why for why we play games is Power Fantasy. So we might as well just do that on the fly and
It's
just kind of.
fun.
It's fun, man. I get to be
Yeah,
Spider-Man. I get to be Batman and punch people in the face and do all these
yeah.
things.
That's the
It's
thing.
fun.
It's new experiences.
It's new experiences. It's fun to punch people in the face, have it feel good. Power fantasies. I don't know. Like I think Cyberpunk, which is not out yet, but will be out hopefully if everything goes according to schedule
I think that
later on
they're
this
still
year.
aiming for 2020 release. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be cool if they actually get it out because I think that's going to be one hell of a power fantasy. In terms of how you
Yeah.
want to play a game, whether you want to be kind of stealthy or you want to be, the Terminator. I think all
Yeah,
of these things
they
are going to be easily recreatable
absolutely.
in
They've
that
had
game.
similar style of games. I mean, it looks similar to what like the Deus Ex kind of games they had. They they've been around for a long time. They had one recently. I think the latest one was Mankind Divided and Human Revolution. But yeah, it's just more of that, and it's kind of like the actual reality is getting close to that. Which I like that they picked 2077 because it's still far enough away that
Yeah,
it's not going to happen anytime soon. I remember when 2016 happened or 2015, and people were like, "Oh, where's our flying cars? Where's our hoverboards from Back to the Future?" So they're kind of saving themselves in that regard, but it's still close enough to it that people can be like, "Oh, wow, this could actually happen." So it's an interesting setting. Sorry, that's not really what you were saying, but
no,
it's an
it's
interesting
fine.
as
That became the topic. See, that's what it is. That's how we
well.
work here. But yeah, power fantasies they're fun. The downside is like again, I think again it's just like kind of knowing that it's a fantasy. But I
Yeah.
like that being the last point because it's a bit more lighter than some of the other things we've touched upon, and I don't regret anything that we've kind of talked about because they're all like integral to our lives because how many hours do you think we've spent on gaming? Like it's important to
Oh,
talk to kind of have
Jesus.
this introspection.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I can go on to Steam and check. It's like
no,
it's
please
almost a
don't,
badge of
please
honor in a
don't,
way.
please
It's
don't.
yeah, but it tells you like you've played this many hours of this game, you've played this game for this many
Yeah,
hours, and it's like interesting to see that. Oh wow, there was one game I don't remember spending that much time on until going back and seeing that, and it kind of made me a bit more reflective in that
that's
regard.
um that's perfect segue into the next little few kind of little subsections I've got here. So the first one is how I've played video games. So I've got two bullet points here, and I've just kind of written down bullet point number one is excessively. So so next to that excessively it says dash more than 1,500 hours in 2019 playing for stretches of 4 or 5 hours at a time. So
Oh yeah,
you know when I saw the PlayStation wrap up for 2019, I think I shared it, and then I think Steven, the mate, commented on it saying like wow. Or I don't know exactly what it was, but it was something like in the vein of like kind of not shock, but like yeah, like it was some kind of a comment and stuff. And I was like, I don't know how accurate it is. Then I actually check it, and I don't remember the number, but it was definitely more than 1,500 hours. I'm like, yo, I I wow. So when you look at cumulatively, I think how I played video games, they have been excessive. And the
Mhm.
other bullet point I have here is as a reward. So once I finish up my work, complete my task. I've used it in the past as a reward. Um,
That's a good way
and
of doing things, I'd say.
and then the next subsection I have really quickly is just how I play video games. So obviously now I'm talking about in the present tense. So the two bullet points I have is one is a limited. So the kind of explanation I have there is so I've set aside 2 hours a night for gaming, streaming or not. Combined time is about 2 hours. And the second bullet point is I play it as a reward hyphen. But this time I know that I'm always putting in the work, whereas in the past I may have played like no matter what, I'd kind of end up playing, and it wasn't a true reward system, if that makes sense. I
Mm.
think we all kind of get into that at times.
Yeah.
Um, do you want to say anything about how you play games, or how you have played games? Is there anything that comes to mind, or should we
It
continue?
definitely has changed over time. Like when you have all the time in the world, it can become your main passion and hobby. But again, it takes over your life. So it is just finding a balance, finding the time for it, and not just like I want to play this now, but it's also if it is something you want to be doing, and if you push it away too often, like it can be days or weeks, and like you have to make the time for yourself in a way. Otherwise, you will just kind of grow a bit bitter or resent, like, oh, when am I guess I'm just never going to be happy again in life. Not like that. Maybe, I don't know. But you have
Yeah,
to take the time to be happy. And if playing games makes you happy, you have to take the time to play games to an
yeah,
extent.
yeah. I think that's why we do everything. I think every decision that we make in life derives from two things, and it's either gaining pleasure or avoiding pain. So
Yeah.
make sure you're wired properly to get these things from the right places. I think is probably key. And the last little subsection I've got here is how I've learnt. How I've leveraged gaming to work for me rather than against me. So I've got a little paragraph I think I wrote here. So it says, it's not pervasive and it doesn't negatively bleed into other areas of my life, consuming more time and energy than I allow it. However, when I do something like complete Final Fantasy X, the positive feeling I get from doing that was definitely pervasive and stayed with me for the rest of the day.
Mm.
Um, how do I get the most enjoyment out of my time with my precious video games? Is by engaging with it proactively, and that ties in with setting a daily limit because they both work hand in hand for me. I value that gaming time more, and I feel like I'm playing better and getting more done with that shorter focus than kind of playing for many hours on end, kind of wandering around, maybe more mindlessly sometimes even. And also, more recently, streaming is a lot of fun. So as long as
Yeah.
the game I'm playing is fun, I'll be streaming
Makes
because
sense.
otherwise it's not worth streaming for me. And
Yeah.
since I am streaming, I also want to kind of cultivate a positive perception that kind of permeates beyond gaming for anyone that's kind of giving me their time. And I want to spread that kind of a positive kind of perception and perspective, even through using like video games as a medium. So that's kind of how I've leveraged it to kind of work for me rather than against me, or to kind of just kind of be there rather than it just being there as a hobby, like trying to leverage it so that it's kind of having a positive impact on myself, and on anyone that wants to kind of join in on the journey.
Yeah. It's always nice to hear.
So as we kind of wrap things up, and right before I take us home, is there anything you want to share? Is there anything that you want to kind of let the people know? Where can everyone find you? Anything? Anything?
Usual places. I'm either Sigmar Kane or Lieutenant Buttstrong on just about everything so far.
Spell it out for the
I think
people, for the nice people.
so. Sigmar Kane, it's Sigmarcain, and Lieutenant Buttstrong, Still my favorite name. LTBUTTSTRONG. On
Sweet.
Steam, I'm Lieutenant Bostrom if anyone wants to add me. Don't know if I should put that out there, but I'm always happy to play with new people.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, so we've been providing you with our perceptions and our perspectives, um, on why we play video games and whether you relate, disagree, or discover something about yourself. Please feel free to leave some of your thoughts in the comment section below. Is there
That's a
anything
good.
else you want to
That's
say?
a. That is a
Sorry,
good
man.
point. We're both obviously quite biased in the favor of games. If anyone, like my wife, has alternative appointments
Yeah,
in a more objective way, points of view. Sorry, if anyone has alternative points of view in terms of why gaming is or can be bad, I would love to hear about it. So
nice.
just put
Okay,
that out
well,
there.
are we ready for my outro?
Absolutely. I also didn't mean to just put my wife down there. Like she's very happy with me playing it. She's just objectively does it. Like she's anyway. Just
Well, someone's sleeping on the couch tonight, so should I get into the outro? Have
yes.
you
Go ahead.
uh, have you finished shooting yourself in the foot with your virtual
Never.
handgun? All right. So well, this whole exploration has been about what video games mean, and if anything is as big a part of our lives as video games is, shouldn't we stop and question what they mean to us, and maybe
Mm.
use it to enrich its integration into our lives rather than just provide a little distraction. I love video games, and what I'm deciding on what they mean to me. Let me say that again. So I love video games and what I'm deciding they mean to me. That's what I meant to say.
Mm.
Thank you all for giving us a bite-sized chunk of your day, however you're listening to this. If you're on YouTube, know that I'm moving along the path towards 100 subscribers, so I can get my own custom
Congratulations.
URL, which will make it much easier to find me. So I ask, would you kindly subscribe on YouTube? And hey, since you're there, why not give us a thumbs up? If you're already following me on Twitch, that means you've given me a little click on the purple heart to show me some love, and I appreciate you. It makes my heart even more happy when you turn on live notifications to keep us better connected. Lastly, if you use Twitter, then come and find me. I am Mo2x15. That's MAU2x15 across all platforms. We can follow each other as we walk through walls and break down doors. We're grateful for your time. I hope you decide to have a wonderful day, and I look forward to you joining me again.
As do I. Take care, everyone, and enjoy your life.